Welcome back to another episode of the Working Joe's podcast with me, Zach Ciota, and my co-host, Ralph Wolf. And don't forget to download the podcast on Android using Stitcher or Podcast Addict, or if you have an Apple phone, use iTunes.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Working Joe's podcast. I'm the co-host, Ralph, and thanks to the technology, our host, Zach Ciota, the world-famous Zach Ciota, 600 miles away, but thanks to technology, he is sitting right across from me. What's going on, Zach?
I sure am. I'm just a short drive down Interstate 20. And,
6 hour short drive.
Yeah. I'm sure it flies right by. One day I'll test that theory out. But until then, I guess it's on to the internet.
Yeah, so you had anything interesting going on?
Oh, yeah. But let me see if there's something good that's also interesting. I did a service call today, and I was in the attic, and I had my UEI thermometer with me, and I put it on top of the unit as soon as I got there. It was a train split system heat pump, and I put the thermometer on top of the unit, and it said 125.6. And I said, man, it is hot. It is hot as hell up here. So I went down because the drain was clogged up, and I was cutting the trap loose so I could look inside of it. And when I looked back up at the thermometer, it said error.
Oh, my God.
So I'm guessing error is over 130 because it said it was 4% relative humidity, and that couldn't have been right.
No.
I don't know what the deal was, but it was really, really hot.
So needless to say, the next closest hottest place would be hell.
Yes, it was almost as hot as hell. I had the little Ryobi fan up there, and it was blowing on my face, and the wind hurt because it was hot.
It was so hot, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been there.
Yeah, I know you have. Yeah, you've been in the exact same situation a bunch of times.
Yep, a bunch of times. I'm glad I'm not doing installs anymore.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gosh.
Let the younger guys do those for me.
It is. Everybody has their time in the sun, and they should, pass it on to somebody else and do something a little bit easier.
Yeah, I agree. I know guys enjoy doing installs, but personally, I just do not. Not anymore.
Yeah.
I'll do some, but I just don't want to do a bunch.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I did them for a long time, and I never really loved install, but the last couple of years especially, I'd really if I had one, I wake up in the morning, I just dreaded it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, speaking of installs, we were talking about the home warranty debacle and then the YouTube frenzy.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So we did the home warranty debacle. Finally got her stuff installed, and I'm just waiting. She paid me part of it up front, and then waiting for her buyout check to come.
Oh, right.
So that's finished up, and they're going to cancel as soon as they get the check, and put that money away in a separate account every month. And so they don't ever have to worry about arguing with somebody again.
Right. How much money a month was it?
$55 a month.
Wow. That really adds up. $700 a year roughly, a little bit less maybe.
Yeah. And so they have a new coil, or fairly new coil, and they have a new air conditioner. They have new garage doors, which they said they spent the most probably. That was the biggest thing that they've had the garage door company out there a bunch of times, so they had them out more times than anybody else. They have a new water heater, so they're fixed up for a while.
Yeah, that's the big stuff right there, right?
Yeah. Besides the refrigerator,
furnace. How old is the furnace?
It's the older furnace, so
that's nice.
Hopefully it'll be all right. You know what I mean? The biggest thing will be a blower motor or board or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you can handle that.
Yeah, I can handle that. I mean, because they're not going to upgrade, to a 90%, or they already have an 80%. So even if they change their furnace out, they're not going to get any more real efficiency out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Except the X13 motor. And I have a X13 motor that Mars sent me to do a review on. So if I ever wanted to, I could if their blower motor goes out, I can actually put that in there.
Oh, is that the Digi motor?
Yeah, yeah, yep, yeah. I have one for the condenser, and then one for the furnace.
Oh, I remember the videos where you had to sit there and it goes through all four speeds and
Yeah,
you pick the one you want.
yep, yep. So they sent me one of those uh, long time ago, and I just never did anything with them.
Making the most of your opportunity with Mars.
Well,
You can do it
um,
now. They're not really selling any of those things. I'm sure they'd welcome a video about it if there's not
oh
rust on
yeah,
the
yeah,
shaft.
yeah. No, it's still in the box and everything.
Yeah.
Um, but and it's so the YouTube frenzy.
Yeah, that's right. Get
You
onto the
saw
YouTube
my
frenzy.
you saw my video on the SBD, the EWC SBD,
Hmm.
and that was a YouTube viewer, and we changed out his complete upstairs system. On his upstairs system, the condenser fan motor went out,
Ooh.
and so yeah, so I went out there and put a new fan motor in for him just to get him through because he's just like just change it. So I got to do both his condensers and his upstairs system.
Oh, wow. So was it a
So
heat
yeah,
pump upstairs or a furnace?
no, it was a furnace, a
Yeah.
ton and a half system, with a 40,000 furnace. I was trying to get a 20,000 BTU furnace, but they didn't have one.
Yeah, I never heard of a
But some,
20,000.
oh yeah, yeah, Carrier and ICP have the 20,000 for like apartments, 800 square foot.
Oh, wow. I'd never even seen one of those before.
Yeah, yeah, because you imagine the smallest we can get is a 40, and you put a 40,000 in a little 800 square foot, sometimes 600 square foot.
Hmm.
It's way too much heat. The heat's oversized, so it's just Uh, I don't know about you because how much gas do you have there? What's your percentage, would you say?
Oh, gas units. A lot of them are gas packs,
Right.
mind you. Probably 10%.
But yeah, but on the gas packs, you don't really have a choice of BTUs.
Yeah, you're stuck with it based on
You're
how much
stuck with
AC you
on
need.
yeah. So, but like with us, I could not tell you how many houses I've been in that had a 100,000 furnace and it needed a 60.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so you walk in the door and the heat's running and it just hits you in the face and the people don't understand that hey your heat's just oversized and then you try to tell them and they just they
Oh, I
won't
know.
listen. So
Yeah, the gas
that's why I
packs
do
were
them.
stuck with 90,000 on a 3 ton a lot of times.
Right, right, and you're just unless you put a plug in there on
Yeah,
your
right.
other
Yeah, right,
so it
right,
doesn't
right.
shoot so it doesn't shoot gas out but but yeah so yeah that's and he was like the third or fourth YouTube call I got that week, and then I actually did one on Saturday. The guy watched me on YouTube.
How do you
And
do it? How does this happen?
I do not know. I don't know if it's just my market. It's a mystery to me. It really is. I don't know about the other guys, how many calls those guys get, but I can probably say that I probably get if you took let's see the top five YouTube guys, I probably get more calls than the top five YouTube guys put together.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you're the Atlanta market. So if I'm not mistaken, Atlanta's the third largest city in the U.S. It's New York, Los Angeles, and Atlanta. So that's one of the biggest markets in the United States.
Right, right. But yeah, I don't. I've never figured it out because it did. It wasn't like it just happened this year. It was been several years going
No, I've been
that
listening to
I've
this crap for years. I'm
got.
a
I'm
YouTube
sorry.
viewer's house. YouTube viewer. No, it's great. I mean, I think it's great. I don't know what the secret is. I mean, I don't know. I've done YouTube viewers repairs and a few installs before, but I mean, just like tiny
I've
amounts.
yeah, I've asked the viewers, well, or the people that call me, and and I had a guy 2 minutes away from my house.
That's
Never
cool.
even would have known me, you know, had he would not seen me on YouTube. And so he called me, and I've asked a couple of them, well, how come you called me? The guy from Saturday, I said, well, why'd you call me? And he said, I was watching one of your videos, and it was just something you said in the video that was like, I want this guy.
You got a quality or something because they hear
I
you and
don't,
they trust you. I think is the thing.
yeah, I don't know what it is. I really truly don't. but and there's no duplicating that. There's no duplicating it because everybody does marketing of some sort of in some sort, um, and one guy's marketing is better than the others, and there's just no secret to it.
Yeah.
What makes one guy better than what the other guy's doing?
Yeah. You know what? You had discussion. I remember we had a discussion with Paulus about how you make a good YouTube channel, and we're
Right.
the opposites. Paulus is
Mhm.
all about SEO and setting things up right, putting your tag words in right. And then you're on the other side saying, hey, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters if you're a big dull dud.
Right, exactly. If nobody watches you, then if nobody watches you, then it doesn't matter what kind of SEO stuff you put in your videos. Yeah, you might get an initial click, but as soon as you go on and if they decide, well, I don't like you, they're not going to watch you.
That's right. We're not putting
I had
Paulus on the spot, but I just
no,
that applies
no,
to this
definitely not.
argument. To
Yeah,
me, it's
yeah,
saying you get that stuff because you've got that quality. Like, hey, I'm listening to a buddy of mine. I really trust
right.
this guy. I hope my furnace breaks so he can fix it.
I've
It's
had
broken.
people send me,
Call him.
yeah, I've had people send me messages from all over the country. I wish you would come here. I had one lady call me and she was like, "Are you sure you don't want to come down to Florida? You can have like a little mini vacation." And I was like, "No, man, I just can't do it.
Holy
It's
crap.
just too far." Yeah, yeah, and so and believe me, I'm not trying to toot my own horn because I'm just a guy just like you or anybody else. I just whatever it is, I've kind of found that secret or whatever. Um, and it just I wish it could be duplicated because I'd tell you what it is. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think people distrust you. I get that
Yeah,
from your videos. All your blogs over the years seem to do very well. Even the ones where some of the people argue with you on there, because I've
yeah,
seen the
yeah, yeah.
comments. I mean, they still a lot of guys watch you and they say, "Hey, that's I don't know." They always say apply it to like men and women. There's always this girl next door mentality. I'm not saying you're the girl next door, but I'm just
Right,
saying there's a quality where I say, "Hey, I can go talk to this person."
right.
Uh, it's
I
not a
guess
thing.
that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, they feel like they could talk to you. Like evidently they're calling you on the phone, so they feel like you're accessible.
Right. I had a guy call me the other day actually, and he said, "Look, I've never done this before, but I binge watched your videos all night long."
Justin
And I was like,
Hernandez.
"Good old Justin." Yeah, but no, he was just a property manager guy, and he called me the next day. Send me a text actually, because I I've gotten to where I do get a lot of calls, and um, a lot of them are from people across the country that want to ask me questions, and it's tough to answer them because I'm not there. They want me to give them advice on what their air conditioning guy says, and I'd rather not be put in that spot.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
Because I'm
tough.
not there to see it. So I just don't answer the phone hardly anymore, and I just on my voicemail, you've heard my voicemail. It says for faster response, please text me, and
I,
then
it says
so I'll get
your voicemail box is full.
oh it is
And that's what I've heard that several times. Usually if you don't answer after a few rings, I just give up. I don't leave messages with you, just
right
like you
right
don't with me. So if the few times that I did, because there's a couple times where I called you and I was gonna be like, "Hey man, my air conditioner broke," and do like that, because
right.
I don't know why, but all the time when I get to the end of it, it's I'm sorry, the person you're trying to reach has a voicemail box that is already full. It said that
And
for
I
like a month or two.
and I get those phone calls, and it's just tough for me sometimes to keep my voicemail empty.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
get
not
you.
as anal. I'm not as anal as some guys are, but if you want to play a practical joke, if you're working on with a big company, and of course you're not, but you can call. I did this to a guy one time. Um, now with cell phones, it was harder to do back a long time ago because people didn't have cell phones, and so long distance numbers or whatever you saw a long distance number, you'd be like, "What in the world is this?"
Hmm.
So I called the answering service for a guy that was on call, and said, "Look, this is so and so, and I work with the company, and but I'm doing a prank call," and I gave him the White House number, and hey,
That's pretty
call
good.
George. George's air broke.
Call
Uh,
George.
call George.
Oh, it's been a while since you did that joke then.
Yeah, yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, so that was when Bush was in office, probably his first term.
Hmm.
And I gave him the White House number, and the girl was in on it. She knew what I was doing.
So did he
But
call the White House?
I'm not for sure. I can't remember if he did or
Oh, that
not.
would have been great.
That would have been great. But what would you do as soon as they picked up the phone? White House directory. How many
Or
hands
did they
the
hang up
director call?
afraid? Oh man, Comey's listening. No, no, that's not right.
So how many guys do you think now are going to be texting? But they can't because I don't know. I guess there's guys out there still use answer service. I guess most companies do.
Yeah, I've seen use the overnight services and stuff like that to answer the phone.
Right. So if you guys want to pull a joke on one of your counterparts, just call the answer service and tell the girl that you're doing a prank and leave that White House phone number.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know. These
Ask
days
for
they might
ask
come
for
pick you
Donald.
up. Yeah,
Ask for Donald.
is Ivanka there?
Yeah. Donald's air is broke.
Donald's air is broke. That's right. That's
Yeah, he
right.
didn't leave a last name.
That's pretty good. Was that the only frenzy you had then for this week? The 4 calls? Is that it? Good grief.
Yeah, from YouTube. Yeah.
I got 0 calls from YouTube this week. I got 1 call from class of 1997 high school. Oh no, that guy actually went to elementary school with him. The guy I went to today. Time and a half though. I felt
Time and a
bad.
half. And he agreed to it. It wasn't one of those little buddy deals.
It wasn't a surprise. I did it right off the bat. I said, "Well, it's Sunday. It's time and a half."
Because let me tell you, those buddy deals are always the ones that bite you in the butt.
Yeah, no, that's right. If I left the house and hadn't said what I was going to charge him, and then tried to do it afterwards, it would have been
Then
a
it would
big
have been like,
mistake.
right, right. But he agreed to it.
He agreed. Yeah. Well, his exact words were, "We got to do what we got to do." So I was like, "I'll see you. I'm leaving the house now." And the
Time and
drain
a
was
half.
clogged up. Yeah, drain, just a little clogged up drain.
Yeah, that's what happened on the one from Saturday, the YouTube guy from Saturday. He's a property manager. He told me he was a property manager, but I think he might have owned these buildings.
Yeah,
Sometimes they won't say.
yeah.
Um, and what happened was, oh, you're gonna love this one. The everything was up in the ceiling, and he called me Friday and said, "Hey, the ductwork had fell off the unit." And I was like, "Oh my God!" Automatically, I knew it was ductboard. I said, "Well, how did that happen?" He's like,
Suck.
"Well, yeah, yeah," and I could barely reach it off my 8-foot ladder.
Oh
So
no.
what had happened was, yeah, what had happened was I think the drain line overflowed, uh, and water went into the ductwork, and of course the weight, it was already not supported well. Of course it wasn't supported well, but the weight of the water had pulled it apart. So I get there and it's just kind of hanging there. The transition, it was about a 4-foot transition in between the coil and the first part of the trunk line, and there was no support on it whatsoever.
Oh,
And
recipe for
it
disaster.
was it was it was butt jointed. It didn't even how it has the shiplaps. It
Oh yeah.
wasn't even in there. It was just butt jointed.
Oh gosh.
But the strap for the trunk line was right at the beginning of the trunk line. If it would have been moved over 2 inches, it would have been on the transition. So so I was like, man, what am I gonna do? So I went out to the truck to get some metal because what I was gonna do was just put a piece of metal on the track and extend over under the transition so I could hold it up.
Right.
So what I had on my truck was normally when I braze the line sets to the unit, I take the door, especially carrier doors work really good. The ones that are kind of like angled,
Yeah.
and so I
Yeah.
take that door and I straighten it out, and then I set it under the valves and braze the line set. That way, if there's any drips, it doesn't melt the pad. So I had that piece of metal on my truck, and it was a perfect width. So I was able to stick it on that under the duct, screw it to the track, and so now it's supporting the transition. and I was able to use a drain pan on the other end next to the coil. I was able to lift it up because it was only like a half an inch under the duct. So I was able to lift the drain pan up and re-support it and use it to support the right there at the beginning where it meets the coil.
Well, that's unofficially very good way.
If somebody goes in there and looks, I'll be like, what in the world is somebody thinking?
A bunch of hacks.
Yeah, a bunch of hacks, but what are you going to do when you have to put your ladder on top of 4 folding chairs, padded folding chairs?
Oh, gosh.
I was on top of that ladder, and it was like moving. I told the guy, I was like, dude, you're going to have to hold this ladder, because it wouldn't have been so bad if it would have just been a hard metal chair, but it had padding on it.
Oh, that sounds horrible. That whole job sounds horrible.
It was, but you know what? It's done. Now, if something ever happens, he'll call me back.
That's good.
And so, anyway,
Yep.
today on this podcast, we have Jason O. Oh, and before we get to Jason O, I want to remind everybody that if you hear something, you want to leave a comment, go to the YouTube Working Joe's Roundtable podcast and leave a comment so we can see it and so we can answer your comment, or if you have any ideas, leave them there.
That's a great idea, Ralph.
Hey, got to remind the folks to do it.
You really do, because not a lot of people leave comments on the video. No one leaves comments on the hosting site for the podcast. I don't blame them, because why would they?
Right.
But YouTube's a good place to do it. If you guys want to leave your thoughts on something, if we did something wrong or right, we'd love to know.
Exactly. Because we always want to improve, because the more people listen, the more we can continue to do this. And guys get upset if they don't hear it.
Yeah, that's true. It's really cool. I mean, to have guys that actually say, when we get into the truck on this day, we are looking forward to hearing your podcast. It's really cool.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a really humbling experience.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
So one day we'll be super famous, and we will conquer the world.
We will. We will. So we have Jason on, the second part of Jason O from iManifold, and he has, several other ventures. So we have him on this week, and we have some great guests coming up.
Ralph, like who?
Well, let's see. Who do we have? We have Trey Miller from EWC.
Nice.
He'll be our next guest. That'll be Friday, right?
It will be Friday, yep.
So Trey will be, his 2-part will be Friday and Tuesday. And then we have Bob Velvick from Inficon.
Good guest. Had a lot of fun with him, too.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to get Scott from Ultravision.
That's right.
I'm going to call him. Well, I've already, by the time this airs, I would have already talked to him.
Right. So hopefully we'll have some good news by the time people are actually listening to this.
Yeah. And then Vicky Moss, who is a Honeywell guru, to try to get her on here. Scott said he was really interested, so he's pretty much a go. He just wants to, they're all scared to come on here.
Yeah.
Trey was kind of nervous about coming on, but he's a in-your-face kind of guy.
Yes. If anyone wants to prepare for what's going to happen on Friday's podcast, go to Google and type in Trey Miller. What's that to type in? Trey Miller football fan?
Trey Miller football, Trey Miller Vikings fan.
There you go.
And look for the guy with the number 69 jersey on.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like this picture since I watched Braveheart. That's the last time I saw a dude that looked that intense and had face paint on. Just check it out.
Let's just paint a picture. You ever watch football on TV and you see that one guy who's all painted up and he is screaming, he's holding his fingers up, he could almost be the team mascot.
I can see it in my head right now.
Yeah, because you've already seen this picture, but
I know. I see the big V though on the chest.
Yeah. He is really. He's as passionate about EWC zoning as he is his Minnesota Vikings.
He really was. He was one step below scary passionate. So he was in the sweet spot. Really fun to talk to, and just a really cool guy.
Yeah, we actually and during that whole podcast, we didn't talk anything about the zone panel.
That's right. We have so much more to cover.
Yeah, so we have to have him back on. It may not. He said next month. He said he's willing to do it every month.
Yeah, he was really excited about it. You know, a lot of the guys, like you're saying, they're like scared to come on because it's
They
uncharted
don't.
territory or something.
Right.
And then they get on here, it's like, wow, this is like talking to guys in the bar about HVAC. It's
Exactly.
great,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah. So and Bob was the same way. He was kind of leery about coming on.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
could
Bob.
just tell. I could just tell. Didn't want to do it at first, and then after he did it, he was like, "Man, I enjoy this."
Yeah, it was fun. You know, really fun. You know, like let's take Jason for example. After we got done with the podcast you guys are about to hear, you know, it wasn't 5 minutes before Jason had sent me some kind of message or text or something saying how much he enjoyed it.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
he's ready to come back on it again too.
yeah, and it's awesome. And we're still trying to track down guys like I befriended. I think I tried to befriend some of the guys in the iManifold group as well. So maybe they could
Buck,
come on here. Buck. And there was another guy, I can't remember his name. They're all part of the team. If you go to the website, you see them all listed there. So I found him on Facebook. I friended him, and I wanted to get Buck in here because he was the center of a lot of, I don't know, ire and controversy over there in Facebook. So maybe he can set things right.
right.
Okay, guys, so let's get on to Jason O. He's going to talk to us more about, I guess, iManifold stuff about teaching, because he has about 100 things he does. So let's hear a little bit more from Jason O.
where do you see the iManifold going from here?
To be honest, there's a lot more with regulations, especially say in California and things like that. And there's a couple other states that are trying to regulate things with reporting and proving that you did pull a vacuum and that you did achieve this efficiency and that it did. The iManifold's already set up for that. So as more and more states start using regulations to not only require that if I install a 16 SEER unit, prove that yes, it is achieving 16 SEER, so that the customer is not getting ripped off. I don't just throw a 16 SEER unit on a standing pilot furnace and say, yeah, that's probably going to work.
Right, because I just had a situation where a guy wanted 16 SEER, and I explained to him, and after I explained it to him, he understood that, hey, I'm not going to be able to get 16 SEER out of it unless I change my furnace. But I explained to him, yes, I can buy a 16 SEER, but the energy tag on the box is going to be marked at 14. And as a customer, if you say, well, I want to buy a 16 SEER, and I say, okay, and I bring that box out there, and you see on the tag, well, it only says 14. The little arrow is at 14 SEER. Then you have to explain to them, well, I have to match the coil, and I have to match the blower to get you 16 SEER.
Right.
And I can turn a 14 SEER into a 15 SEER by matching everything correctly. So they're like, well, do I really need a 16 then?
Yeah, they start questioning it.
Right. No, I mean, you're 1 SEER, you can buy 14 SEER, save a little money, buy 14 SEER, and just match everything, and you can get 15 out of it.
See, that's the iManifold has the AHRI database in it, so it has
Right.
all the matchings and everything. And places like California, the regulations over there are crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I could work there. It's too much work for
Title
me.
24, right? But they make you. There's a code. I want to say it's in Michigan. They're putting up. Let's say you install a 90% efficient furnace.
Mm-hmm.
You have to prove with a report that it's actually achieving 90% or better, or the homeowner doesn't have to cut you a check.
Where's that at?
And I think it's in Michigan they're proposing it.
Oh my God.
Not Georgia, Ralph. Not Georgia.
Oh, good.
But you
Hopefully
have a
I'll be
combustion.
out.
You have an analyzer, don't you, Ralph?
Oh, I have the iConnect.
I mean, the analyzer, a combustion analyzer.
Oh, I have a
Combustion analyzer. That's just an example that as they get more strict about proving that these units are actually operating at the efficiencies we sell them at, and holding the installer up to, hey, I'm not just going to whip this unit in there and whip out of there. If we're going really high efficiency, we're really going to do everything we have to do to achieve the high efficiency. And the iManifold will log all of that information, show you your efficiencies, and you can't alter those numbers. Do you know what I mean? You can't manually manipulate that. You either have it or you don't.
The only time you can't get away with it is if you're doing the install in the wintertime and it's below 70 degrees in the house for the return air.
Oh yeah, for the yeah.
So,
But I mean, we're working on some things like that. There's some, because the psychometric chart goes so far up and so far down, and we're working on extrapolating the data all the way up here and all the way down there to get it to work.
Right, because that
But I mean, that's one benefit.
Right.
Moving forward, as we push for higher efficiency, we push for better installs, more accountability. The iManifold can show you whether you got it or not.
Right.
A lot of the utility companies here, that's why they're using it, because it'll show if the contractor went out and made the specific changes that, say, the electric company wanted, and we saw the power consumption in watts come from this down to this, then the electric company is going to cut them a check for saving that much, whatever.
Right.
You know, they have a program for that. And right now, the iManifold is the only thing that does it.
Right.
So again, as for the future of this, I see, as we start pushing energy efficiency information about the system as a whole, not just this one condenser I'm throwing in, but the ductwork, the blower, the air handler, furnace, condenser, coil. As we start to look at the whole picture, the iManifold can look at all of that stuff and then make a report and say, here you go. This is everything you need to know about this unit.
Well, do you think that it's going to integrate home performance in general into it in the future?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I was a fan of the BPI home performance, but now there's a big rift between the two different certifications about who sets the standards, because they change from state to state depending on your weather patterns and things like, you know, what do you need this thermal furnace for in Miami? Well, you really don't.
Right.
But in Chicago, you do. We run our furnaces 9 months a year. Why do I need an 18-SEER air conditioner in Chicago when we run them 2 or 3 months? But in Miami, you're running them 9 or 12 months. It's a heat pump. So again, you're going to have to, these standards that are set for building performance are going to have to be geographically, I believe, set to climate and things like that.
Maybe they'll create, they have zones, climate
Right.
zones. Maybe they'll tailor them to zones throughout the United States. Come have
I
some
would buy into
cohesive
that,
units. Yeah. It seemed like that would be a good idea.
I'm not at liberty to say who, because to be honest, I don't know. But we're actually working with 4 different manufacturers right now and their tools to integrate them into our app, into our platform, so that they can populate the app with information. I'm not sure. Again, I wasn't privy to those discussions, but I do know that we are in talks with a few different manufacturers to have their tools go wirelessly to our tools, use our platform.
Do you know the type of readings or the type of tools?
I do not, to be honest. I just got off the phone earlier today, and there was some excitement about it. So I'm not sure. I don't. If I get more information, I will get back to you, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, you get more information, we'll have you right back on.
Yep.
But I mean, it's the big thing is that everyone's looking to work together on this. When you brought up BPI, there's a lot of readings that are involved in building performance, not just, you know, the furnace and air conditioner, but the windows and the insulation and the roofing and things like that. So if going forward, it could be part of, I would say, a building performance thing, but I don't think it'll stand alone. No.
Right.
You're still going to have to do the blower door test and the thermal imager and all of that.
Right. Well, it's interesting. You know, Jim was saying in our previous interview how the community, HVAC community out there, was not really ready for the iManifold because of all the data it had. But it seems like what you're saying is that there's like going to be an intersection here in the future where it's going to be tailor-made for everything that's required in the future. Whether that be right now, we're heading that way. Right,
and you know what? A lot of other manufacturers are doing the same. You'll see all manufacturers now make digital gauges that have a variety of different features. Sporlan came out with their smart tool, their Pro refrigerator. I mean, that's a really good tool.
When they first came out, before they were even on the market, I was gravitating towards them. And at one time, I became their poster boy because I pushed it so much. And because of that, I know I couldn't begin to tell you how many were sold because of the way I pushed it.
He literally was on the picture in the news with the tool.
I was, yeah, in the HVAC news, like you were talking about. I was in that, and when they had an article, I was in it.
I've used it. I'm a tool guy.
Right.
I like tools. So the iManifold is not the only tool in my kit. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's one of the big ones, yes, but I've used the Sporlan tool. I mean, I like a lot of the things it does.
Right. Now they're going to start getting. It's going to start catching up to Because in my opinion, well, Testo's there, but the Smart Tool, I believe, will be the next one to gravitate towards what the iManifold is doing.
The big thing that we have right now is the capacity, the
Right.
the electrical consumption, things like that. All the programming in there that can give you all this information about the unit. Now, like you said, what is the homeowner and a residential split system? I'm working on, Mrs. Jones's air conditioner. She doesn't need to know the capacity of her unit right now or the EER of her unit right now.
Right.
That's information that's going to be kind of, she just, it's 95 degrees out, the puppy is sweating, and she needs a cold in her house.
Right. I use the iManifold at a lady's house, just what you're talking about, and I showed her the report and showed her how I changed the operation of her system. And
that's the app, the snapshot.
Now I gave this to her, and then something happened to one of the units like 2 weeks later, and she had a home warranty, and the home warranty guy came out and said, "Oh, you just need a new unit." But the thing was working perfectly, and I gave her that information, but she believed him over that piece of paper
because he was probably going to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. I was like, man, this is crazy.
What I believe is we have the next generation of technicians hitting the ground running, and they're kids of technology. They're very quick to endorse and embrace it, and I think all of the manufacturers are taking note of this, and they're leaning toward this technological side of the field and of the tools in general. What we need to be sure of, me as an instructor and again a trainer for the iManifold, is that make sure you know what all this information is.
Right.
If I hand it to an average technician and they look at all the numbers on the screen, they'll know the superheat and the subcooling, but when they're looking at the right, what do you need the discharge temperature for?
Right.
So getting them to understand the whole, look at the airflow, the humidity, the temperature split, the condensers, but all of these things as a big picture can help you solve a problem or increase efficiency. We have a customer that a bunch of different companies were out trying to figure out why this 4-ton unit couldn't cool this house, and there were all kinds of, it turned out it was oversized, and we hooked up the iConnect to it, and one of the options that was listed was that the unit was oversized. None of the contractors thought to look at, hey, maybe the guy that put it in put one in that was too big.
That's
thinking
insane.
outside the box. Yeah.
Right. It's insane. Usually, just by looking at the square footage, a lot of the time you can say, your unit's too big for your house.
Everybody that came out there just wanted to adjust the charge.
I just did this at a house. The unit was a 2.5 ton. There were three bedrooms upstairs, but it was a 2-ton load all day long. Well, their complaint was the upstairs 2 bedrooms never got cool. And so the first time I went out there was a few years ago, and I told them I said, your system is oversized. So I decreased the size of the equipment. And now he called me and said, hey, can you come show me where those dampers are? Because now those rooms are too cold.
People don't get it.
No. Bigger is always better.
This thing, yeah. Even from the homeowner's perception, when you do a manual J, I do a manual J, and it comes out I need a 2.5 ton. And the homeowner says, well, put a 3-ton in there, just in case. Mm-hmm. Just in case of what?
Right. That's when you need an inverter.
Global warming.
That's when.
Yeah, global warming, right. But I can't tell you how many people showed up and just adjusted the charge.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you got too much refrigerant there. We got to put a TXV in there. And then I came out, I hooked all this stuff up, and I put the probes in the ductwork. I hooked up all the temperatures, and it came up on the screen. And I was already questioning the size of this, 4.5 foot tall unit sitting in her yard, this tiny little house.
You mean the big thing that blocks the sun, that shades the house from the sun?
It could be a small shed, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of greenish gray.
It told me straight out the unit, and I showed her, listen, this is oversized. Well, this thing's only a year old. What do you want me to do? Buy a new one? I'm like, listen, I'm not out here to sell you anything. I'm just out here to tell you what's wrong with it.
Right.
Wow. Happens a lot, unfortunately.
You should think outside the box.
Yeah. Some contractor somewhere Or the guy's an engineer, the homeowner's engineer, and says, well,
Numerous contractors. I was like the fourth person out there.
wow. Well, it just is what it is. What are you going to do? The industry has to change.
Well, Jason's going to teach a new group of techs how to do it correctly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's what we're going to do about it. Slowly but surely, change the industry. That's sad, though. It's really sad. I guess, guys, I don't know if it's an oversized unit on a small duct system. Guys using static pressure or not using static pressure, or even using temperature split to ascertain that something is oversized or without air. Just no one knows how to do this stuff. It's just simple stuff that no one seems to be able to grasp in our industry for some reason.
Well, it's not really taught.
They only want to look at the refrigerant side.
You're right.
Yeah,
right.
The pressures. What are the pressures doing? Is it 70 or 120 or whichever refrigerant?
Yeah, but even if you do put your gauges on the unit to begin with, to look at the pressures, you should be able to see there's a problem, which will lead you to another avenue.
Well, it depends. You say I have a target superheat of 20.
Right.
And let's say you're working on 22. I have a target superheat of 20. It's 70 degrees inside, and I'm at 20 degrees of superheat. I don't know why she's complaining, even though it is 52 psi.
Right.
I mean, or superheat's good. So
right. I'm
gonna go get a burger. That's the problem we have.
Right, but that's why you have to look at everything. Your pressures and temperatures and where you're at. I mean, and then go from there.
One of the things I commonly get is, why don't you look at the air side? Well, I'm not going to make changes in the ductwork, am I?
Right.
What do you mean? It's all softened in. You know how much money it would cost me to tear all that out and redo that ductwork? There's nothing I can change about it anyway.
Right. Well, I
so why bother looking at it?
I like but it's been cooling fine for 20 years.
Yeah, the air's 43 degrees.
Yeah. It's been cooling fine for 20 years.
We get a 25-degree split, man. That's great. It doesn't move very quickly, but it's cold.
The new tools coming out, all the different manufacturers are endorsing that look at both sides of the system, and I like that moving forward. I'm a big fan of looking at everything possible to ascertain what's wrong with a unit.
Right.
Or what's right with a unit even.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing what different tools you guys incorporate since you're using more tools. I can't imagine what it is, though. It's going to kill me. So, as soon as you find out, we want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's tough in the field because you do get the homeowners that like he's an engineer or something and he knows more than what you know. Oh. And it's just like, well, why'd you even call me?
Yeah.
If I have asked some of them, why'd you call me? So then they leave me alone at that point. But
oh gosh,
it's he's got a point. You know what I mean? A homeowner will call me up and say, "Listen, I bought an air conditioner. Can you come install it?" Well, where did you buy an air conditioner from?
I bought it off Craigslist.
Yeah, don't tell me. I don't want to know. You need to call somebody else.
You know what? I have actually I pulled a good unit out of the house one time, and I'm the type of person that if the unit is good, I'm out to help people out. So I did. I put this unit on Craigslist. It was a 2.5 ton or something like that, and I put in the ad, look, I removed it. It was professionally uninstalled, and I will not sell it to you unless I come install it. Because of that reason right there. Well, it's a 2.5 ton. I have a 1.5 tons. Bigger is better. Or they don't know. And then so a guy was like, "Oh yeah, man, that's what I need. This is what I got." Blah blah blah. And he told me, he's like, "Yeah, man, I got a 2.5 ton." So I get out to his house, and it's a 5 ton. And I'm like, this is not gonna work.
Your first stage unit.
Well, why not? Right. So if I would have sold him that unit, he would have called me and said, "Hey, man, this thing's not cooling." But that's where they know more than you do.
Yeah, I like that first stage unit. Yeah.
You just need to get a second one. You'll be all right. You'll be fine. Have yourself a 2-circuit deal.
Twin them.
Yeah, twin condensers. Yeah. It's happened, I guess, a couple times. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, this has been good, fellas. We've been going for about an hour. Again, we get out of control here talking about HVAC. Like I said, we must be a bunch of losers. We're talking about HVAC for an hour.
On a Saturday evening.
On a Saturday
I'm a closet
evening.
nerd.
Yeah. And then then we get off track on we mean to talk about one thing, and then that one thing will lead to something else.
Yeah, well, we never have to hurt for what to talk
It's
about.
all in good fun.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Jason, if there's anything you want to touch on, anything you want to talk about, you talked about EPA changes a little bit. You talked about iManifold. Is there anything we missed? Anything you wanted to mention?
You know what? Have you guys heard of Skills USA?
No.
I haven't.
It's a coalition. It's a big group actually, and what they do is they take first-year students and they have it's all hands-on competitions from all of the different states, and each state has their own finals, and it's first-year students, and they have to braze joints and troubleshoot units, and they have multiple sponsors, and the finals are coming up here in June, and I actually got picked to be one of the judges for the HVAC portion of it in Louisville.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really pumped to see, what these are the future technicians that are going to be hitting the field. This is right here, and this is supposed to be the best. Again, it's not written tests. It's not book reading. This is all performance. Someone standing over your shoulder watching what you're doing, how you're doing it, did you do it right, that sort of thing. It's called Skills USA. And they have it in all the states, and each state has their own. And then the grand finals are in Louisville, and that's coming up next month. So it's something to keep an eye on. As an industry moving forward, I get excited about things like that.
Well, cool. Hey, let me ask you something about your class there that you do. How much sheet metal is involved in?
Believe it or not, we do a lot.
Do you? Because
Yes.
that is the one thing that's, when I went to tech school, we had a brake, but we never use it. And I don't know anybody that comes out of school that has any sheet metal experience other than like union or whatever.
Being the director at the school, one of the things I'm in charge of is the lab budget. And
Right.
the sheet metal is a big thorn in my side when it comes to the budget, because we go through a lot of sheet metal.
Well, yeah, I can imagine.
We have stalls set up at the school. There's 8 of them. They're set up almost like a decent sized closet, and each one has its own furnace.
Right.
And we pair up the students to a stall, and they have to install a plenum all the way up, a duct run all the way out, a return kit, gas line, electric. They have about a week to do it, in 6-hour sessions, and they have to do the entire install from start to finish. Put a humidifier on it, fire it. The whole thing is live. Everything is, and then they have to tear it all down.
Wow. So you are using it now. Do they have to build their own plenums?
Yes, from the ground up. They use
Wow.
flat stock metal 3x8, and they have to build a plenum all the way up.
Wow. And y'all have shears and
Well, you know what? I have all the machine stuff, the shop stuff, but I don't let them use it because they're not going to have it in the field.
Exactly. See, that was my biggest thing. How many times do you go out to a unit that they don't know how to work with sheet metal, so you have a bunch of big holes with a lot of tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't know how to make a transition, and it's just like, man.
Gee, Ralph, you must be
To
excited.
be honest, even reading a tape measure.
Oh, I am, man. Hey, look, if you're teaching sheet metal in your schools and making the kids know how to do it with regular snips and
Hey.
folding
Yeah.
songs. Now, yeah. So, oh man, we could talk about this.
That's
for a
exciting
while.
because that's how me and Ralph build all of our transitions. 4-piece fittings in the field, plenums in the field. They're all built
Yeah,
on site.
my cross brakes. My cross brakes are made probably on the corner of a furnace.
Yep.
I lay it on the furnace and pound it with my hands.
I showed the guys to throw a piece of cardboard, a nice thick piece of cardboard. The box that the furnace came in. You
Right.
throw that on the ground. You lay the sheet metal on top of that, and then you run an S-cleat corner to corner, and you can take a screwdriver and put some weight on it.
Right.
Put under there, you'll get a real good cross break.
Well, I've never done that. I just found something that's had a crisp edge and just laid it across in there with the palm of my hand. I do it like that, and it looks like you bought it. If it wasn't for the S-lock, being in the corners.
We watch a guy use the pickup truck, the tailgate of the pickup truck.
Oh yeah.
He close the gate up and perfect 90.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That's what I use the
That's
back
pretty
of my
cool.
truck for. Oh man.
I just use the S-lock. Dude, I did go and buy the folding bar. I finally broke down and bought one. But I used to use S-lock. Well, but what it was, as I get older, I'm not in the mood to bend 20-inch transition with an S-lock. So I was like,
It's
I
tough
need
on
to
your
break.
hands too.
Yeah, it is. But it's funny because these big guys, they watch me do it, and then they can't do it because I know how to do it.
I don't do it either.
Right.
I put S-lock in and use the hand seamers to bend it.
The seamers, right? That's.
I
But
cheat.
when we start out the sheet metal, I have them make a toolbox.
Right.
So if they're gonna make their mistakes with the tape measure and things like that, they're making it on smaller pieces of metal rather than this 8-foot piece of metal.
Right.
And we have a Pittsburgh machine at the school. We run it through the Pittsburgh machine. They got to tap it closed, and I have them use rivets to put the handle on, and they have to make all these separate pieces. And if their measurements aren't just right, it won't all fit together at the end.
Right. Well, up there where you're at, it's you get the union's real big up there. So these guys are going to have to know some sheet metal if they go to work for the unions. But here, it's not a union area. So they're going to go to work.
We don't have any residential union. We just have the commercial union.
Right. Well, we have a couple commercial companies here, but it's not as big here. The
other thing is, I've had guys move to Florida after graduating, and there's no metal in Florida.
No, it's all ductboard.
Yeah, did y'all go over ductboard?
6 months of them, and I did all this metal, and I don't know how to use a ductboard.
But you know what? If you're smart about it, the ductboard will, the metal work will convert to ductboard. I took a ductboard class many years ago. The company I worked for bought a ductboard machine, and that company sent an instructor and taught us how to build fittings and stuff like that. And he taught us how to build like a 3-piece 90. Well, I was like, well, why don't I do that with sheet metal? And so, I'd take a piece of duct or whatever, pre-made, and I'd turn it into a 3-piece 90. And I was like, well, that looks pretty good. That way I don't have to use turning vanes. Where a lot of guys would cut it at 45, and bend it in to make a square, a 90-degree 90. But the 3-piece looked really good, or works good.
I bet it was beautiful, Ralph.
Well, I did it on YouTube. I got 3 videos on how to do it. Part 1, 2, and 3.
Yep, he sure does.
One of my guys that work with me regularly that ran service calls, did installs with me when I was years ago, he moved to Florida. And that was the biggest switch for him, was going from metal duct to ductboard. And believe it or not, he loves it. It would take us in a gut rehab to run the duct work in metal, from scratch. We're doing a gut rehab. We're doing an entire supply run, return run, branches, everything. It would take us 2 or 3 days to lay everything out and put it all together. When he does it down there with ductboard, they do it in 4 hours, the entire run.
Oh yeah, because they're buying it's tape and staples.
Right. And the measurements are forgiving, very easy to cut, very
yes.
So he loves it. He's never coming back, unfortunately.
Never coming back. I don't know. Nothing.
That seems to be a theme here in Illinois.
Well, it's too damn cold up there. Who wants to blow snow
Yeah.
first thing in the morning?
It feels great in Florida during the summer.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when that snow falls, the phone starts ringing.
Well, yeah.
I can't tell you how many people install 90% efficient furnaces here and don't snorkel the flue pipe. So we get a foot of snow, and all of a sudden my snow shovel is the only tool I need. I got to go dig out flue pipes.
Yeah, that happens here. Yeah. That happens here in the ice storms, and it's not because of the flue pipe. It's because of the drain.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You don't know how many times I go and the thing's frozen up, and I just find a sewer drain and pop it into it.
Oh, they ran an outside drain for a...
Well, yeah, a condensate tube, and then they run it all the way. There's probably 3 foot because the home inspectors are making everybody put the drain 3 foot off the house. So they had 3
Exterior,
foot.
Though?
Yes.
Oh,
so they had 3 foot, and most of the time it's sagging. And the first thing that's going to clog up or freeze up is that sag.
Up here, we're not allowed to run them outside. If you have a heating drain, it has to be run to an indoor drain.
Right. So that's what I normally do. I normally just find a drain pipe somewhere and drill a hole in it and put a barb fitting and run it over to it.
Zach, where are you from?
I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, near the coast.
So I've been to North Carolina quite a few times. The weather's pretty nice over there.
It is. It's a little Florida-like, a little bit cooler, maybe a degree or two, but it's about the same, humid and hot.
How much snow do you guys get?
Half an inch every couple of years. Not a lot. No, it never snows here. Yeah, it's just it's 90% heat pumps here, and then 10% gas furnace with air conditioning.
That's what I was going to ask. You got a lot of heat pumps there, then, yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 oil furnaces total, and then most of them are heat pumps.
Hey, that's more oil than I have.
I know it's horrible and smelly junk.
I just actually passed my heat pump exam for ESCO for the CMHE, even though there's not a heat pump within 300 miles of me. Heat pumps don't do well up there.
Got to be one. Now, mini
a dual
splits,
fuel
though.
customer, right?
Mini splits, yes. Mini splits are but a straight heat pump system, come January, when there's 3, you have to shovel it out just to get it, to have some airflow across the coil.
So
and
no
it's running
dual-
electric backup all day.
No dual fuel then.
Not
See,
a lot.
We have my house is dual fuel with a modulating furnace, which my modulating is the only one I've ever seen. Or will probably
Who
ever
makes
see.
What's the making? A Duquesne?
No, it's a ICP carrier.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we get a
If
lot
you
of their
don't-
Infinity systems here.
oh yeah, I bet and you'll probably start seeing the 5 speeds.
Well, it's the variable speed motor inside that Infinity system. If it goes out, if you don't set it up proper, it's $1,200 for that motor.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
see, the
it's-
thing about it is it records data from the day one and it stores it on there. So if you bring it in under warranty, they'll download from the motor and say, listen, it wasn't installed properly because it ran at peak from day one.
Right.
So they won't give you a warranty on it. You're out $1,200 for the motor.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's not something you want to send a first year installer out to do. You know,
No.
when they first came out, when the Infinities first came out, 15 years ago or whatever, that was their biggest deal. There was like, oh man, you can take a $10 hour employee and he'll just set it up. It'll set up itself. So your $10 hour employee can do the whole system by himself.
Yeah, that was a selling point for the communicating systems.
Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
to install.
Easy, very easy.
But-
Hell to troubleshoot.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be a nightmare to troubleshoot.
Yeah, I've experienced that nightmare.
But that was I decided to jump on and take the test, and I finally passed it.
Yeah, I get calls from guys up north that are working on heat pumps, and they just never see them.
You guys have Johnstone's by you? Johnstone Supply?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
They're the biggest supplier around here, and if you were to wander into a Johnstone to order a split system, say a Goodman or something, a Man of something, heat pump, they would look at you sideways like, what, did you just ask for a heat pump? Well, it'll take 3 days. It's got to come in from Tennessee.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
We do the same thing with furnaces at some of the supply houses. We need a furnace. We don't actually carry furnaces. So
Well, there's one guy, John Israel. He's never. I think he said he's only seen 190%.
yeah, because they're all 80% down there. 'Cause
Right.
it's never below 70 degrees.
Right.
I was about to say, yeah.
And Brian Orr down in Florida that does the HVAC schools podcast.
Yep.
I actually just started working with him.
Oh, did you? He's a
Yeah.
very intelligent guy, but he doesn't know anything about gas heat, and he'll tell you. But he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to know about it.
He's a really nice guy. He really is.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable.
Are you
yeah,
writing for
very.
him? Are you doing articles for him?
Actually, I'm doing curriculum type stuff with him.
Oh, cool. For his website.
You know how he always does quizzes and things like that, right?
Oh, awesome. That's cool. Yeah, he's a really smart guy. I really enjoy listening to his stuff, too.
Very intelligent.
Yeah, he's almost an engineer.
He's not that bad.
I ran into him at the HVAC Excellence show. We had a chat, and that's how I become acquainted with him. That and through LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. We were talking about LinkedIn a while ago. Me and Zach
Yeah,
before you came on.
we were researching you, trying to find different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got quite a different history out there. I didn't take the usual path to get to where I'm at. I bounced around a lot, and it isn't until recently that I started exploring different parts of the field and getting into different areas. I usually just stuck with my class and my students, and that was that.
Well, that's a good.
Things changed a couple of years ago, actually, at the conference. They hold this instructors competition. It's all hands-on stuff. And the inaugural one was 2 years ago at the conference, and I finished in first place. I won.
Wow.
And yeah, it wasn't easy.
Now, how many instructors were competing?
To be honest, I don't know. I was really nervous. There was a couple of, I mean, there's 600 to 800 people attending this thing.
You know, that would be one of those things that I guess it would be pretty intimidating. You have all these teachers that are, you know, they're top of the field or whatever. And
everyone's staring at you as you're performing your test. You know, you've got this huge crowd around you watching what you're doing, and
it's kind of like putting your pictures on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, and I
Only
guess
worse.
and you're 37
In
years
real
old,
life.
and they're probably 50 years old, wondering why you're there.
Anyway, the final task was they had this a little fan, a little desktop fan, and they ducted it out to a 4x10 grill. And in the grill, it was a wood grill that they wrote the word ESCO. They carved it out as the air exit. And you got a hot wire anemometer and a ruler or a tape measure, and you had to calculate the actual CFM coming out of that vent.
Really?
And you had 15 minutes to do it. Until, you know, everyone's looking at you and you hear whispers, oh, look, he's using the anemometer, or look, he's using the tape measure instead of the ruler. And
yeah, you reach over to grab a tool.
It was
intense.
So you got to
wrong one.
So you got to see a lot of the keyboard cowboys face to face then.
Right.
Oh gosh.
And then last year I was a judge for the competition.
Wow. How do you get that?
So the first year I won it. Well, each year the winner will come back the next year to be one of the judges.
Oh wow.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
But
it does sound like
the really good thing was the manufacturers really got behind it. They sponsored it, and the grand prize was from Appian. Their Tez 8 vacuum pump with the MegaFlow speed kit.
Wow.
So I brought that back to the school.
Right.
Nice. There goes $2,000. That's nice.
Yeah, but
it was $2,000.
But you're not in the field anymore, so you know what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to tell you what, that thing has gotten more use at my school than it would ever have gotten in the field.
Well, Ralph was asking if he could have it. That's what he was doing there.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, I go through oil like man. The students, we have like 10, 12 different pumps there, and everyone always goes for that one first because you know that it's going to be done in 5 minutes, and then they get to take break while everyone else is still standing over there waiting for the rest of them.
So, what brand recovery machines are you using? Different.
We
brands?
have a bunch of them. We have some back rack machines in the lab. We have 2 G5s from Appian. Man, that thing whoops butt.
I have a G5.
I feel bad.
It is. We have a couple of G1s. We have some back racks and Pro Max, things like that. We even have some older ones. We have a Stinger from back rack. Yeah. You can't get parts for that no more. So when the next time that goes down, that's it for that one.
It's a shame because I have a Stinger on my truck.
I have a Stinger on my truck.
My Appian G5. I was fortunate enough to walk in the pawn shop one day, and it was still taped up, never been untaped. And I forget what they wanted. It was like $600, and I said, "Well, take 5." Yeah, I'll take 5.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Yeah, and I was sort of like, I want to open it up first because you know it's still taped up. Nah, I don't want a piece of wood to be in there when I open it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was still all wrapped up and everything. Not a scratch on it.
It's a great machine. I love it.
Oh yeah, I love mine.
Well,
but it does a good job. So what else is up for you? What's your next venture? You're already getting into 3 things now. You got room for?
Well, I'm doing some writing. I don't know. Have you guys heard? His name is Eugene Silverstein.
I've heard of him as far as being iManifold guy now.
On the team with me, him and John Tomzik and Whitman and Johnson, they write a textbook that's used in a lot of schools across the country. Actually, it's the #1 selling heating and air textbook. He's written a lot of, psychrometrics and the pressure enthalpy and things like that. He's written books and books on that. He's a beast when it comes to that stuff. Anyway, him and I are working on a couple of publications, and that's a big thing for me to transition to an author. You gotta word things in a way that if someone reads this sentence, they can't raise their hand and ask a question. So when you write something on something, it has to be very thorough and very easy to understand, because it's not like you're sitting there while they're reading it to answer questions. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So you have to use a different way of explaining things than you would in a classroom. I can say something in the classroom, student doesn't understand it, raises his hand. I explain it a different way. When you put it into print, you've got to blend all of the ways that you have to explain something into one all-encompassing explanation of this particular topic so that when the reader gets through it, they have a good understanding of what it is you were trying to say.
And it's not like you can just take it to an editor at some publishing agent because they don't understand what they're reading.
They're looking for spelling errors, and did you use a
Right.
verb and not an adverb? Oh, that's
Right.
an adjective. That doesn't belong. You started a sentence with a preposition and that sort of stuff.
Oh gosh, I could never do this.
Me neither.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, he's a really, really good person. He's a really good author, very knowledgeable, and he's helping me along.
Man, so you got a plate full then.
Yeah, I try and stay busy. I teach Thursday, day class and night class. So I'm at the school from 8 in the morning until 10:30 at night.
Are you married?
I am.
Wow, kids.
She has one of them T-shirt, two of them.
Wow.
T-shirts that says HVAC wife. You
Right.
know, yes, I'm married. Yes, he's real. He's not make-believe. He does exist. He's just working.
Oh man, we have trouble staying at home, and we don't even have half those activities.
Exactly.
Well, the good thing is a lot of those activities I do from my house.
Right.
That is
Yeah,
good. That's
All
right.
the videos and things I do here.
Well, that's kind of nice. Yeah, you do all the stuff because they're in New York, I guess upstate New York, and then you do all your stuff from your home for their iManifold stuff. So you don't have to even go up there.
Right, and we have like Eugene's in California, and then there's another guy. Eric has been with the company for. Eric is out of Arizona, and we just added Buck. Buck Taylor is a programmer. He's really, really good with the programming.
Yeah, I saw his name in Facebook yesterday. He took a beating yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forget. It had something to do with the update or something. I don't know. But
Yeah, we just had an update come out on the 31st.
yeah, what is it? The Mexican walking fish.
Yeah, something like that with some weird.
Yeah. I was trying to get you to say it earlier.
Is that what it was? The walking fish?
Mexican walking fish is the name of it.
It's only
Yeah.
it's only natural to name your update Mexican walking fish.
Yeah. Not like Android with Kit Kat or
Jelly bean, flip flop, ding dong.
Raspberry pie and
Yeah. Like
All's fair. All's fair with your update names.
yeah.
but all of us are scattered throughout the country, and we keep in touch using like Skype.
Just like we're doing here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as we're doing like this, right? We do this quite often, actually, at least once or twice a week.
Well, that's
Wow.
great.
So you get to work from home, and your classes. How many days a week do you teach?
Monday through Thursday. We're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right.
So you have. But now, do you teach at night, other than Thursday?
Day class and night class.
That's on Thursday, but Monday through.
No,
Wednesday.
Monday through Thursday, day and night.
Wow. So you're there from 8 in the morning till 10:30 at night.
Monday through Thursday.
Wow. I bet your wife is like, where's that
Yeah,
shirt
yeah,
off?
yeah,
She probably has
yes, he's
a
real.
couple of them.
A couple of them.
The only
Wow.
way she knows I'm here is because of the laundry.
But 14 hours a day.
Hey, great.
Actually, longer than that.
She's great. She takes care of the kids and everything that has to be done, and she makes me a lunch every day, and she gets the kids to practice and to and from school through homework, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I couldn't do the things
No, you could.
that I do now.
I can tell you.
without
you
her.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Good
Yeah.
for her.
You gotta have a good wife out there. I got 3 kids
And
myself.
yes, it is what it is. When summer comes and it gets hot, days are not going to be 8 and 10-hour days. It's this is when we
16.
have to get our money.
16
Right?
hour
Yeah.
days. Hey, look, I'm trying to slow that down, but normally my days are 16-hour days, 7 days a week for 4 months straight.
Right.
You know,
There's nothing we can do about
and there's
this.
many days, many holidays, many birthdays, weekends that I've missed. Or, when the kids were growing up, I got to miss all that stuff, and it does
Yeah.
suck. That's the worst part about this industry. But it is what it is.
That's right. It is what it is, Ralph.
Yeah.
And Ralph, you got to tie this up now because it's like 5 podcasts long now.
Hey, well, let's get out of here. But you know what, Jason?
Well, I had a great time. This was fun.
Yeah,
It really was a pleasure for you, to get to talk to you.
absolutely.
I enjoyed this a lot. You guys are very knowledgeable. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. We enjoyed it. So
I'm sure we'll do it again in probably a couple months. Or if you hear anything about any new news about the iManifold or in general, you can contact me and we'll set one up.
Yeah, for sure. I will definitely be on top of that. If as soon as I figure out what's going on and everything gets set in the way it's supposed to be, I will definitely come back on and explain it all.
Absolutely, that sounds great. Any news with the iManifold that you think is important for people to hear? A lot of our guys are iManifold owners. They've been for a long time. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'll let them know, or I'll bring you on. You can explain it.
Let me say thank you to your listeners for being iManifold users and continuing to support us and the company. That I do appreciate that.
Well, even with the EPA stuff as it comes along, because that it's really hard for guys to understand what's really actually going on. Because
that was one of the things they skipped out on, which I didn't really like. One of the things that they were kicking around was either requiring guys out there now to get a recertification or to add a continuing education where you had to take a class or two every year to maintain so that you could stay up to date on changes and
right.
things like that in the field. And they didn't go with either one of them.
Yeah, because after you take the test, that's it.
Right. That you never hear from them again.
Yeah, and then what happens is some of these homeowners decide, well, hey, we're going to go get an EPA card, go take the test, because you don't have to have experience to take the test. So they go take the test. Yeah, just study it. Go take the test, pass it. Now they can buy their own refrigerant. And, in
unit.
Yeah, and unit.
Yeah, depending on where you're at.
One of the big things I think in the changes there, I think they took the word technician off of the license.
Right.
Because passing a test does not make you a technician.
No, that's just like saying the guy that sits behind the steering wheel of a heating and air truck is a service technician.
He might be a driver,
Yeah, just because he sits there doesn't mean he's a technician.
I thought you were going to say something about Nate, but you didn't.
No, I'm not a Nate fan, but that's just me. But anyway, hey Jason, it was great for you to be. It really was.
I had a really good time, guys. I appreciate this.
Yeah. So, but yeah, anytime you hear anything that would be interesting for us, definitely get in touch.
Yes, for sure. I will contact you.
So yeah, it's been great.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, Jason, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Well, thanks for having me on, and have a good rest of the weekend.
All right. Thanks, Jason Hope.
Thank you for listening to the Working Joe's podcast, and stay tuned tomorrow, Wednesday, June the 14th, for a very special edition of the Working Joe's podcast to be released at 7 a.m. in the morning. Also, don't forget on Friday, we'll be talking to Trey Miller from EWC.